What's happening, guys? Hope you are well. I thought I would do something just a little smidge different today. Instead of me sitting here and recording you a video, I've literally just got done recording an absolutely incredible training. It's supposed to be exclusively for the guys in my Alpha Life program, but I thought, why not peel back the curtain and give you a little look at what it's actually like inside one of my programs. So I figured that today's video, and we're actually talking about the 3 must-dos, the 3 things that you must get clear on if you want long-term, sustainable, dramatic changes, whether that's physically, mentally, or emotionally. You need to get your head around these 3 things. So I thought I might as well give you a little look, give you a little sneak peek. Maybe you'll learn something from it. Maybe you'll see value in it. Either way, I hope you enjoy it.
Hey, feel I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose.
What's happening, guys? Welcome to today's video. Super excited to introduce you to the first lesson in the mindset mastery and behavior change pillar. Sounds sexy, doesn't it? I've put this particular video at this part of the course right at the beginning because I genuinely believe if you don't get your head around this, if you don't begin to shift your way of thinking in line with what we're going to talk about today, it doesn't matter what you do moving forward, you will never be successful. Whatever you are doing, whatever intervention, whatever implementation, whatever intervention you are trying to instill, whatever you're chasing, whatever you're trying to do, it'll come, but it'll go really, really quickly because you haven't got your head around this. We're going to be discussing today my 3 key points to creating a lasting change. Now, it doesn't matter what it is that you're trying to achieve, if it's physical, if it's mental, if it's emotional, if it's professional, you need to start implementing this into your life. You need to get your head around these key factors if you genuinely want to succeed. And I can pretty much guarantee it's the fact that you have skirted over this in the past, or you haven't been aware of this way of thinking, which is probably actually led you here because you've more than likely tried other programs, you've tried this, you've tried that, but nothing has ever stuck, nothing has ever resonated with you. So hopefully at the end of today's short session, my aim for these videos is to keep them as short as possible so that you don't get bored. I don't give you too much information, because if I give you too much information, you get information overload, and it's just a terrible place to be. So we're going to be looking at my 3 steps, my 3 must-dos. Do you notice the way I said must there instead of should? It's a super powerful signal to the brain when you decide that things are going to be a must instead of a should. When you decide that you must lose weight instead of you really should lose weight. If you're deciding that you must give up alcohol, you must do this, you must do that. Musts are always so much more powerful than shoulds or tryings or possiblies. So from now on, that wasn't even going to be in the lesson. What I'd like you to do is turn your shoulds into musts. So whenever you feel like you're saying, I should lose weight, I should go to the gym, turn the should into a must. It's much more powerful. It's a much more powerful signal to the brain. Anyway, the first point that we're going to look at today in the 3 points is we're going to look at, number 1, raise your standard. Super, super important. You see, here's the thing. As human beings, we all hold ourselves to a certain standard. The problem with this is society is very, very forgiving. Society doesn't expect people to hold themselves to a certain standard, and it's why, from what I can see, society is fucking failing. I see waistlines getting bigger. I see people getting unfitter. I see men just not taking care of the way that they look, the way that they feel, the way that they dress, the way that they act, and the way that they behave. And that is all to do with the fact that they are holding themselves at the absolute bare minimum standard possible for a fucking human being. So in order for you to create a long-term, lasting, sustainable change, it's important that we raise our standards. It's important that we get super clear, we get absolute oodles of clarity on exactly what you demand of yourself every single day. What level are you going to hold yourself to? What standard on a daily basis are you going to hold yourself to? There's the very famous video of that United States Navy, the Navy SEAL commander who talks about making his bed. Making your bed is a standard that you can hold yourself to every single day. If you are at the lowest point possible, if the depressive feelings, if they don't seem to go, simply making your bed is going to give you a feeling of achievement, and you are then holding yourself at a standard. No matter how bad you feel, you are going to make your fucking bed. That's just one example. So let's get clear on what is the minimum you demand. What's the minimum that you demand of yourself every single day? Maybe it's I'm going to make my bed. Maybe it's I'm going to get up at the same time every single day. Maybe it's I'm going to walk 15,000 steps. Maybe it's I'm going to read 10 pages of a book. Maybe I'm going to drink a gallon. Maybe I'm not going to leave dishes in the sink anymore. Maybe I am going to clean up straight away after tea. Maybe I'm not going to leave my coffee cup on the side. These are all standards that we can hold ourselves to every single day. And when we raise our standards, when we ask more of ourselves, we start living as our higher self. We start moving closer towards that person that we want to be. The second thing I want us to do within the Raise Your Standards is I want you to decide what you will no longer tolerate. What are you not willing to do anymore? How are you not willing to behave anymore? Maybe you're not willing to not have a shave every day. Maybe you are not willing to snack on junk food. Maybe you are not willing to drink too much booze because you know that you can't show up as the best version of yourself for 2, 3, 4, 5 days after a good session. Maybe you're just not willing to tolerate that shit anymore. Maybe you're not willing to tolerate other people's bullshit. Maybe you are not willing to tolerate the behavior of your partner, the behavior of your kids. I was speaking to one of the guys in one of my other programs the other day, and they were saying that their kids kind of run riot. The kids are ruling the roost, if you like. So we spoke about not tolerating that shit anymore. So what are you not going to tolerate? You can even get a pen and you can get a paper and you can write down what is the minimum that you demand. What contract are you going to write with yourself every single day? What are you no longer willing to tolerate? What behaviors, what actions from yourself, from other people? What bullshit have you decided enough is a fucking enough? I am not going to tolerate this shit. And then I want us to work out, so we've worked out, we're going to raise our standards, we've worked out what is the minimum that we fucking demand of ourselves. What are we no longer willing to tolerate? And what happens if we let it slide? We always talk about what it is that we're moving towards. We always talk about the glory. Oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. Let's flip it around. In Stoic philosophy, it's called PreMeditator Malorum. It's looking at the worst case scenario. What happens if you don't show up? What happens if you don't raise your standards? What happens if you keep living the life that you are living now? What happens if you keep allowing yourself to have 3, 4, 5, 6 beers a couple of times a night? What happens if you allow yourself to slide when it comes to focusing on your sleep? What happens if you allow yourself to continue doing the things that you do? How does that look for you in 6 to 12 months? What happens if you don't hold yourself to this standard? Maybe instead of losing 20 to 30 pounds, you put on 10 to 15 pounds. So you're heavier than you are now. Your energy is going to be much lower. Your health is going to suffer. Your relationships are going to be all over the place because you can't get it up, because your libido's fucked, because you're carrying too much body fat and you are not raising your standards to the level of a high level man that you want to be. What happens if you don't do what you said you were going to do? This is super powerful. Looking at the negative, looking at the right. Okay, shit. I know that this is what I say I want. Even I say that I want it, but my actions are not in line with the person who I want to be. Therefore, maybe I don't want it. Okay, sound. What happens if I don't do this? What happens if in 6 to 12 months I have a heart attack? What happens if in 6 to 12 months I am even more unfit so I can't play with the kids? What happens if I can't walk up and down the stairs? What happens, and this is a big one, dude. What happens if we let it slide? What happens if there's a fire in your house and you are 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight and you can't get your kids out of a window? What happens if you break down in the middle of nowhere? There's a fucking terrible accident and you have to run 3 miles to the village to get help. What happens if you have to do this shit, but because you haven't raised your standards, because you haven't held yourself to the level of a high level individual, you haven't stuck to your personal standards? What happens if you don't do the shit that you said you were going to do? Bad things happen. This is why we raise our standards to a level that we can be super, 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 super proud of. So hopefully you've got that clear. Hopefully you understand why I want you to raise your standards. I can guarantee that the reason that my life changed so immeasurably is because I raised my standards. I decided that I wasn't going to tolerate bullshit anymore. I wasn't going to tolerate the excuses that I was giving to myself. I wasn't going to tolerate the lies that I was telling myself on a daily basis. I was drinking too much. I was eating too much shit. I wasn't exercising correctly. I wasn't living in line with the high value individual that I thought that I saw myself as. And it's only when I raised my standards, it's only when I decided what am I going to demand of myself, what am I not going to tolerate, and what happens if I let it slide. I've got 2 little boys and a beautiful girlfriend that rely on me to not let shit slide. So why do you let shit slide? Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Hopefully it does. So I'll just get rid of this while you are pontificating and thinking about what I've just said. So, like I said, we're going to be discussing the 3 keys, the 3 must-dos if you want to ensure long-term, sustainable change. None of this quick fix bullshit. We're looking at long-term, sustainable change. So in line with the first point of raising your own standards, we want to look at changing limiting beliefs. I need to look at learning how to spell because I'm awful at spelling. Anyway, that's by the by. So, changing your limiting beliefs. Here's the thing. Every decision, every thought, every action that you partake in, that you do, is down to your current set of beliefs. Your current set of beliefs is dictated by something that you have been told Either someone's told you or you've told yourself over and over and over and over and over again for years and years and years and years and years until you now believe it to be 100% fact. And it's this limiting belief which is stopping you take things to the next level. It's stopping you do the things that you said that you were going to do. Remember we spoke about, what was the last point I've just made? What happens if you don't show up? This is all down to your limiting beliefs. Your limiting beliefs stop you show up. And you can raise your standards to the highest absolute possible level, like, oh my God. But if you don't believe in yourself, if your current patterns of belief are stopping you, holding you take action, holding you from taking action, stopping you from doing the work, stopping you from doing what you're supposed to be doing, you are literally going to stay exactly where you are, and you're not even going to try, because subconsciously your brain is going, well, there's no fucking point. There's no fucking point doing any of this because we can't do it anyway. So what's the point? And this is the conversation that you're going to have in your brain every single day until you learn to question your limiting beliefs. You learn to remove emotion and look at everything that you do rationally. Can I do this? There's no reason that I can't do this. Can I get to the gym 3 or 4 times a week? There's no reason that I can't. Can I work out at home 3 or 4 times a week? There's no reason that I can't. Can I make better choices nutritionally? There's no reason that I can't. Can I go to sleep at 10 o'clock at night instead of 2 o'clock in the morning? There's no reason that I can't. And the reasons that you think you can't is because of your limiting beliefs. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with you? Is that kind of making you go, oh, okay, I think this guy's kind of got it. It's almost like he knows what I'm talking about. So like I said, your beliefs, they shape everything. Everything that you do, every action, every thought, every behavior is all down to your beliefs. So when we start questioning this, when we start removing the limiting beliefs, oh my God, your progress will go through the roof, because you realize everything you tell yourself is a fucking story. You tell yourself that you can't sleep. You tell yourself that you're a chronic insomniac. Let's remove the emotion. Let's look at this rationally. Are you a chronic insomniac, or are you just not prioritizing sleep? You tell everybody how depressed you are. Are you depressed? Or are you feeling depressed because you're not sleeping? Are you feeling depressed because you are identifying, and identity is the next video in this series, by the way, because you are identifying as someone who is depressed? You are behaving, you are living in line with your own personal identity. The identity you've given yourself is someone who's depressed. Something has happened, it's made you feel bad. You believe that you are depressed, therefore you act like someone who's depressed. So are you depressed, or are you acting like someone who's depressed? Does that make sense? And I know quite often when I talk about feelings of depression and that kind of thing, I know it can be a little bit triggering. However, I'm not here to tickle you. I'm not here to cuddle you to a better life. I'm here to help you think more rationally and less emotionally. Are you behaving like someone who doesn't want to feel depressed? You see, it's so super easy to feel the way that you don't want to feel. It's super easy if you are struggling mentally at the moment. It's super easy to just lay on the couch and watch TV and not go outside. If you don't get any natural daylight, if you don't get any fresh air, if you don't get any exercise, if you don't get any human interaction, of course you're going to feel depressed. Of course these feelings are going to take over. So if we can look at changing your limiting beliefs by asking ourselves more powerful questions, the more powerful the question, the stronger the decision. And the quality of your life right now is down to the quality of the decisions that you've made up until now. But we'll be speaking about this as we move further on. We'll be speaking about how we can ask ourselves better questions. We'll be speaking about how we can make better decisions. Does that make sense? Does that kind of cover the second point here? We will look at changing our limiting beliefs. If you are looking for long-term sustainable change, you are going to have to raise your standards. You are going to have to address your limiting beliefs and start to change them. Because if you don't change your limiting beliefs, holding yourselves to a higher standard is going to mean absolutely nothing, because you're not going to believe that you can do it. And it's only when you believe that you can do it that you act like someone who can do it. Does that make sense? So the third point, and is actually why you're here, is we are looking at changing the plan. Or changing the strategy. But that is exactly why you are here. You have changed the plan. You have decided that whatever it is that you have been doing up until this very point simply isn't working. Because if it was working, you wouldn't be sat here watching this video. You would be progressing and living the life that you want to live. You would be out there creating opportunities and creating a wonderful life. But because you are not, because there's something not quite missing, you have agreed that by changing the plan, changing the strategy, up until this point, you've possibly been feeling a little bit negative about the way that you look and the way that you feel. Good. That's good. That's how you're supposed to feel, because negativity is your body and your mind telling you that something needs to change. We need to change the plan, change the strategy, change the story that you've been telling yourself. If you've been trying to lose weight, if you've been trying to get into much, much better shape for a long time, and you have been banging the keto drum, and there's a thing called the sunk cost fallacy, and that is you have invested so much time, possibly so much money, into achieving a result, following a certain plan, and it hasn't worked, that the more time you waste, the more time you put into it, the harder it is to start doing something else, because you think that you've invested so much time and energy and effort and money into your current plan that you need to see it through. Even though you hate the way you look, you hate the way you feel, you hate the way you behave. That is all down to the fact that you are simply following the wrong plan, which is why you are here. Hopefully, watching through today's video has made you realize that up until now, you've probably been playing at it. You've not been able to see the wood for the trees, and that's not your fault. Society doesn't tell you this shit. We live in a society now of quick fix bullshit remedies for every single problem. Everybody wants something solved straight away without putting any work in, without doing the deep work, without asking yourself the horrible questions, without putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. But you are here now, and I'm so fucking excited for you. I think I've probably waffled on enough. So in summary, for long-term sustainable change, we need to look at implementing 3 key factors. We need to look at raising our personal standards. What level are we going to hold ourselves to? We need to look at changing our limiting beliefs, because our beliefs dictate everything that we do. And then we simply need to be honest with ourselves, and we need to look at changing the strategy, changing the plan. Whatever it is that you have been doing, it isn't working. Hopefully, you've enjoyed today's session. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to catching you in the next video, where we will be talking all about identity and the importance of the way that we talk to ourselves and the way that we introduce ourselves to other people. Have a beautiful day.